Okay, we're going to look at changing the subject in an algebraic equation and how to solve an algebraic equation. We're going to look at it in two parts. What's the difference then between changing the subject and solving an equation? What do they mean? Well, firstly, changing the subject is when you put the variable on its when there's on its own. There's more than one type of variable. For instance, if I said x is equal to y plus 2, there are two variables there. There's an x variable and there's a y variable. And the x is on its own, so the x is made the subject. If I change that equation to be x minus 1 is equal to y, I've now made y the subject of the equation because it's on its own. So by here we've got 6x plus 2 is equal to y. So at the moment y is the subject of the equation. The alternative, which is exactly the same equation just shuffled around, is x is equal to y minus 2 all divided by 6. So that is where I have now made x the subject of the equation rather than y the subject of the equation. When it's solving, there's only one variable in the equation, so we can work out its actual value. Sometimes we've got techniques for working out its value when there are two variables. This one we use called simultaneous linear equations, which we'll look at later on, but we actually need two equations to do that. If you've got two different variables in equation, say an x and a y, you can't actually solve it. So for instance, with this equation, 6x plus 2 equals 5, there's no other variable, there's only the x variable, so I can solve it, and actually when you come to solve this, x is equal to a half. So let's look at how to do that. If we've got a plus or a minus, to move the plus or minus, we simply move the number to the other side of the equation and change the symbol. So you saw the way this changed then. I had 2x plus 4 equals 8 on one side of the equation. 2x plus 4 on one side and 8 on the other. I wanted to move the 4, so the 4 became a minus 4. So now 2x is equal to 8 minus 4. What we're actually doing is we're taking the 4 away on the left side of the equation and getting rid of it. And the rule in algebra is whatever you do to one side, you've got to do to the other. So we've got to take away 4 on the right side of the equals. The next one down was 2x minus 4 is equal to y plus 8. So to get rid of that minus 4, I had to add 4 on. So I have to add 4 on to the other side, leaving us with 2x equals 4. That's 8 minus 4. And 2x equals y plus 4. Okay, so what do we do next? Well, one little point to remember as well is if I wanted to move this 4 to that side of the equation, so if I wanted to move the 4, remember to put the new one in by here. The reason being is a lot of people slip up and they put it at the start because it's easier to write there, and then sometimes they forget to change it into a negative sign. So if you decided to move this 4 to the start, it would become minus 4 plus 2x. Easier to look at and easier to read is 2x minus 4. That's the same thing, it's just easier if you put the value when you move it across in by here. It's always easy on this side because you just tack it on to the end with the sign changed. So we haven't quite solved the equation though. We've now got to get rid of the 2. So on this side of the equation, this one that we're solving, notice how in the top one we're solving it, in the bottom one we're changing the subject. In the top one we've got 2 lots of x. So to change 2 lots of x into 1 lot of x, I'm going to have to divide it by 2. Because 2 divided by 2 is 1, we're just left with 1x. Think of if I had 2 chairs and I divided it by 2, I've just got 1 chair. Or if I've got 6 chairs and so if I had 6 chairs and I divided by 6, I'd have 1 chair in each group, and so on. But because I've divided the left side by 2, I've also got to divide the right side by 2. The 2's cancel off on the left, leaving me with an x, and 4 divided by 2 is 2, so there's my answer, x is equal to 2. When changing the subject down here then, we've got 2x is equal to y plus 4. I've got to get rid of the 2. So I divide both sides by 2, and notice how I don't just divide the y or the 4 by 2, I divide the y plus 4 by 2. The 2's have cancelled on the left side, and now I've got y plus 4 over 2. So you can see there how we move a plus sign, a plus number that's added on, or even a variable that's added on. We can move a number that's or variable that's been taken away. All we do, we move it to the other side of the equation and we change the symbol in front of it, the operator in front of it, I should say. We've also seen how we can get rid of a multiplication, a coefficient. So if we've got 2x, we divide it by 2. We divide both sides by 2. If we've got 3x, we divide both sides by 3, and so on. Similarly, if you have, say, a 2 underneath by here, the opposite to this division by 2 is multiplying it by 2. So if I multiplied the right side by 2, I'd have y plus 4. I'd have to multiply the left side by 2, I'd have 2x. So just as the opposite to multiplying is dividing, the opposite to dividing, as is shown by here, say, is multiplying.